These two notebooks record 107 blastings, including last Friday's. A restriction was set that calls were supposed to be made to warn the area residents about the blast. Nobody got it. They come up to, because we're on the end of John Street, 3 John Street, right next to all that destruction. They come up and they go, "Oh, hello, how are you today?" And I tell them, "I was fine until you showed up." They're supposed to make phone calls. They can't get that right. What are we supposed to do? We're being subjected to cruel and unusual punishment, and we didn't do anything wrong, except pay our taxes. All this concern about senior citizen apartments. What about the senior citizens who've been living there 30 and 40 years? Nobody gives a damn. But we do. We don't bother anybody. We have dust galore. They need more water if they're going to keep that dust down. We have blast after blast after blast. It is not right. We have a right to enjoy our yards. And when they blast, they go and tell you, "Get in, get in." They're not concerned about us. They're concerned about a lawsuit. It's terrible. I'm retired. My girlfriend and my sister came over today. We couldn't sit on the deck because there was pounding, pounding, pounding. And sometimes we don't get pounding. Sometimes we get grinding, grinding, grinding. And then if you think I'm whining, you should listen to what we have to listen to. It's an outrage that people can allow others to be tortured. It's just not right. We should be able to enjoy our yards. It's nice weather now. We can't say that, "Come on over, we'll sit out and have lemonade," because we don't know what's going to go on. Personally, I don't think we're ever going to see senior apartments. All this concern about senior apartments, no concern about the seniors who live there.
Andy Esposito.
Good evening. My name is Andy Esposito. I live at 8 Ann Street. Once again, we're treated to vagueness. If I recall, one of the conditions 2 years ago was that a road be built. There's been the same dirt road yet. And there were assurances that nothing further would be granted unless that road was in. That road is not in. Why should anything further be granted? Secondly, as the town engineer makes clear, there's supposed to be payments for each ton of rock that's taken out. And yet we cannot get an accounting of whether payments have been made or not. If those payments are not up to date, this should not even be considered. It's a travesty to let someone continually flaunt their obligations and grant them extensions. Thirdly, addressing the length of blasting. A state DEP investigator was up there on 6/12/07. At that time, he spoke to the foreman on site, whose name is Frank Ross. And Mr. Ross stated that he anticipated another 8 years of quarrying. Not 2 more and we're done. And if you add 8 to 07, you do not come up with anything but 12/13. So we got that much longer to anticipate blasting, because that's what the working people on the site, who I think have probably a good perspective on it, have said. Ridiculous. It is just ridiculous. I'm going to put this in the record. Every time we've gone in the past for relief, we've gotten minimal relief, and we've gotten, to be all honest, we've gotten brushed off. Unfortunately, Mr. Mangione told the same investigator that the only reason my wife called to complain about the dust was that she was from the opposition political party. My wife's never been politically active in this town, under any circumstances. I have been, but I have not been for a decade. We need some light on this. In fact, I am going to ask at this moment that this be turned over to the Ethics Committee, because there's too many interwoven things going on here. There are too many people connected to the law firm representing this developer that sat on this board and continue to sit on the board. There is too much incestuous behavior. We don't know if we've been paid. The road hasn't been done. The appearance of the site is a mess. There's a gaping hole up there that somebody's going to fall into. And I hear the bikes on weekends. So there may be barriers up, but let me tell you, nobody's paying attention. Thirdly, there may be water trucks up there, but they can't just sit there looking pretty. They actually have to be used. And there's enough dust escaping to really question whether all these assurances of these water trucks being used are accurate. Again, as the gentleman before me said, this was supposed to be a terrorist operation. It should have been done by now. But we're going to level it now, which means those initial plans are no good. Those initial plans this committee saw were for a terrorist operation. I can't see giving them any extension until they get their act. I think this whole thing should just be placed on hold until they begin applying with the insurances they've been giving us in the past. Thank you.